Hey everyone, PixieBrix here, and in this video we're going to take a couple minutes to show you the core components of the PixieBrix Page Editor. This is going to help you understand how to find what you're looking for, it'll help our docs make more sense, and it will help you see how you have everything you need to build awesome browser automations. Check it out. Okay, so to open the page editor, you're going to right-click from any web page and click Inspect. And this is going to open your Chrome DevTools. You may have it up at the top, and if it's like this, we recommend bringing it to the bottom. Click these three dots and choose Dock at the bottom. Look for the PixieBrix tab. It may be at the end, and there it is. The page editor is where you build your browser automation. So being able to understand what's going on here is really essential. So the first panel we have here is the mod listing panel. And this is a list of all of our mods, which are automations and workflows that we've built. And so you can see that some of these are like folders, right? So it's going to have this little folder icon, and I click that, and it's going to show me the mods that are inside of it. So you can think of those as components, and this is like your full-on like mod package. So that's what all of these are. You can search if you're looking for a specific mod. You can use this filter to search for something. When you click on a mod, you will see various things change in the sidebar panel. If you have a folder selected, you will see some things here. You'll be able to see these like folder settings for setting any inputs that are related to that, any logs, or changing things like the name or incrementing the version. If you've selected a specific mod component, you'll see the bricks that make up that mod. More on that in a second. When you have any of these selected, you can click these three dots and you can move them into a mod or from a mod. You can make a copy of them, or you can delete them. You can also deactivate them, which just means you'll be able to bring them back from your admin console. Your extension console. But you won't be able to see them right here, which can be useful if you're not actively using a mod. So now, let's talk about these buttons at the top real quick. Clicking Home, it's going to bring you back to this sort of home view. Clicking Add is how you start building any sort of mod with any of these we call them starter bricks, but they're how you would kick off your mod. So we'll have another video all on that. And then this kind of collapses this menu. So if you want to maximize the real estate of everything else, you can just close that like that. So that is the mod listings panel. Next, we have the brick actions panel. And so let's say I have selected a mod here, and I've got different mods within it. I'm going to select this one. This second panel here, it's called the brick actions panel, and it shows you all of the steps, all of the bricks that make up this selected mod. So see, I've got this mod selected. These are the bricks in here. And so each brick has a name and output variable. That's what you can see here. I'll show you how we can change that in a second. But you'll also see there's these different actions. So for instance, I can copy a brick and then paste it. I can delete a brick, and I can also move it up or down depending on what I want to do with it. So those are super helpful, and that's pretty much what you need to know. If you want to add a new brick, you're going to click that plus button. It's going to open up this modal, and you can search for bricks on Google or Sheets or whatever you're trying to do, JavaScript. You can see all of your options here. So when you've got a brick that is selected, like this one for instance, you're going to see this middle panel here, this third panel. It's called the Brick Configurations panel, and this is where you configure the selected brick. So you see I've got the blue shows my selected brick for my selected mod, and here's my options. And these are honestly going to change depending on what the brick is, but you're always going to have a step name, which by default will be the name of the brick, but you can rename it to be anything else, and that's what's going to appear here. So it can be really useful for setting comments or customizing whatever you need to do. You can also rename the output, and so for instance, let's say this is how I'm going to reference the brick and what the brick produces. So for instance, this brick is pulling the state. I'm going to be able to, in future bricks, actually see what the state is by saying at previous or, whatever I've done there. So it could be something that's scraped from the page. It could be a response from an API, but whatever it is, that's how you're going to reference that. So again, the options that you will see within those bricks, it could be a little bit different. Let's find, here's some interesting ones, right? Where, for instance, with ChatGPT, we've got all sorts of configuration options. But one thing I'm going to show you before we leave here is the advanced options. So there's going to be different things you may want to do on bricks. Most of these will have this advanced options. The important one is condition. This is where you can specify if a brick runs or not. And we could do a whole other video on that, but effectively you can put a statement in here qualifying when this brick should or should not run. It can be super helpful if you don't want it to run if you do not have specific data, or if something is not filled out in a form, or if something is filled out in a form. Also, you may want to change this target tab and frame. Again, there's specific reasons you'd want to do that. It basically determines where you want this brick to run, if it's in the current tab or if it's a tab that was just opened that you want it to run on. Lastly, I'm going to show you our data panel. So the data panel is this fourth and final panel here where you can see all sorts of stuff. So let's actually go to a fun mod where we can maybe show this. AI Copilot's going to be a great one. Let's go ahead and reset my changes here. So let's say I'm running AI Copilot and I want to see some data here in my panel, right? Let's run ChatGPT here. I will go ahead and let's ask it to maybe shorten this text. So you can see it's running here and I can see the trace. In this fourth and final panel, the output tab is going to show me what I actually get from that response, from that API run, and so where it's going to interact with ChatGPT. So this is where I'm getting the output of whatever is going on in the brick. Again, if it's the JavaScript brick, you'll see the output of that function. If it's scraping a page, this is where you will see the output, which is going to be the selected element that, or the element that was scraped. So whatever you do, that's pretty helpful to see. Context is another helpful tab. You can see what all this brick has access to. So any of these items I can reference within the mod, or sorry, within that brick, which you can see here, I'm passing an event of messages. So I'm already sharing some information with it that it's getting from other bricks inside this mod. So that's super useful. Rendered is also helpful because this is where you see what you pass the brick, and it can be really helpful for debugging and making sure if you're not getting the expected output, well, maybe you didn't give it the expected input. And so this is where you can check that. Preview is super useful, but that's mostly useful for our sidebar mods. And so anytime you're working with render documents, that's where it's going to be most helpful, because this preview panel shows you a preview of your sidebar and how everything works within it. And there's lots more we could dive into about how to interact with all of that, but that is effectively the 4 panels of the page editor. So just to recap, we've got our mod listing panel, list of all of our mods. We've got our brick actions panel, list of all of the bricks within a selected mod. We've got the brick configuration panel, which is the configuration options for the selected brick. And then we've got our data panel, which can be collapsed or open, and it shows us the output. It shows us what the bricks have access to. This is kind of where all of the data happens, and where we can preview the sidebar if we're trying to design an interactive element. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, reach out via our live chat on our website, comment on this video, or send an email to support@pixiebrix.com, and we'll be happy to help. And happy building!